Okay, guys, so this is episode 2 and how in the foreign invasion of 1876. And the second part of this is the foreign invasion. The second part of the 8-part series is the foreign invasion of 1876.
Yeah, so my intention with this short clip is literally to create a shift in consciousness. When you enter into a new realm of awareness, you can then make completely different choices. And this is actually designed to help you enter into an entirely new realm of awareness and how they invaded our country and why we're being controlled by foreign invader right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And I kind of created this infographic for this particular presentation because this is really important. I want you to see the verses. So it used to be, up until 1871, it used to be the Republic. So every single state knew that they had to have autonomy, meaning they had to protect themselves against domestic government overreach. They knew that they wanted to live their way. For example, in Texas versus in Florida versus, I don't know, Maine. And they each wanted to have their own trust indenture. So a trust is set up wherein you have basically 3 key figures. You've got the executor of the trust, you've got the trustees, and you got the beneficiaries. Those are the 3 key figures in every trust. And again, we're back into trust law, which is heir. And so each country was its own, each state was its own country or its own nation. They had autonomy. And the only reason they had formed a union was because they knew they had to protect against foreign invasion from, let's say, King George III or Great Britain. So each particular state had its own bylaws and its own original constitution. So the constitution is, in a sense, it's called a trust indenture, and it's the rules by which the trust is guided. So initially, America is so unique, and there must have been such divine intervention because this is really the only country that ever had freedom for a period of time. And in each state, they had set up the executor of their trust as God, meaning in God we trust. And the trustees of the trust were the public servants. They were actually a lesser class citizen because they worked for we the people, and the beneficiaries were we the people, meaning we created government, the government works for us, and that's that. We had a set of peace officers, not police officers. We had common law courts established, and of course we had justice because of that for some time. Right. We also each had a true vote. Our vote counted. And in fact, if you owned land, you were considered an elector and your vote was 4-1 because you had a vested interest in the land, in the country, AKA the state. And, this is what the Republic was. You had jurisdiction over your land, over your, over this. Now, the states would create treaties with other states to maybe give land or share land or allow for indigenous or whatever. But they had definitely established sort of a peaceful government relationship between we the people and government, because we the people were in control of it. Now, the deep state didn't like that too much. Right. So what happened was in 1871, they did this huge bamboozle. Okay. Everybody, so in the original trust, in the original Republic trust, there was a governor, a lieutenant governor, a secretary of state, a treasurer. There was a Senate and a House. And what happened in 1871 is they all vacated. They all vacated their offices. And in fact, there were 35 states at the time that had formed these republics. And they all vacated. And when they came back a few years later, they came back as a corporation with its own set of rules, bylaws, statutes, and limitations. And so they established their own trust, and they just kind of carried on like business as usual, like, oh, what? I'm your governor. I'm your, lieutenant, I'm your lieutenant governor. I'm your secretary of state.
They left for a while and then rebuilt their own form of the trust as deep state, if you will, or have benefits. Then they came back and acted like nothing had happened. It was just business as usual.
Yeah. And everybody fell for it. Nobody realized that the entire foundation of our country changed within a few years. And the new trust has an executor, which is the elite. the trustees are essentially actors, giving us the illusion that they work for us, the illusion that they care about our problems, an illusion that we have, you know, justice and a justice system. So think of it sort of like the Death Star rolled in. And then the beneficiaries of this trust are the mafia, right? Because they started to enforce all their policies, and their policies included, oh, you got to drive a certain way, or you're going to get a ticket. And this is how they fund their criminal syndicate. They keep people in jails, and they draw money from their Sesta KV trust in order to fund their criminal syndicate, right? And of course, then they start rolling in the drugs, and they get us in even more trouble, so they can lure us into the trap of breaking their rules. Okay, so again, they wrote a new constitution. They all called it a revised constitution, but really this was their own trust indenture, the rules by which their trust was going to run. And when they did that, they created all, like I said, their fake rules. They started just writing, I don't know, bills, and they wrote, orders, you know, state statutes and ordinances, and
and there's so many, Mickey. I mean, I remember I got pulled over years ago, and you know, they said I didn't get out of the nearest lane to where the police car was pulled. I said I didn't know that was the rule.
Yeah,
and
no, they can make them up, and they can move the goalpost, right? Anytime they want, because they're in control of this corporation, not us. So they enrolled in fake courts. You have this concept that there's some justice happening, but there really wasn't. And when you registered to vote, that's when you were actually contracting with them in their corporation. So you were giving up your vote for the Republic and registering to give them your vote for their corporation. So no longer are we the people, the beneficiaries. This is very, very important, you guys. You got to understand, we are not the beneficiaries. So I want you to take a moment and really identify how much time, money, effort, energy are you putting on the right side of this screen, and how much time, money, effort, energy are you actually putting into the original Republic? Because I'm here to tell you that that original Republic is still standing. It's just abandoned. It's vacated. It had its own original state seal and state flag, and all we have to do is go back and restore it. And we have to do that in every single state. Trump has already done this nationally, but he does not have jurisdiction in the state, because remember, the reason that the people had formed a union and had given power to the trust of that union was because that was their design specifically to help against foreign invasion and foreign affairs. It was not designed to help or officiate or to manage the domestic choices of we the people in each state. So we are the only ones actually, as property owners in each state, that have the jurisdiction. Trump actually does not have jurisdiction over each individual state. So it's important that we capture the flag. It's important to go back to what is ours and restore what is ours under we the people. So so that kind of, it helps kind of segue. I don't know if you don't have any questions, but helps segue into part 3 of our story. We're going to talk about the Death Star versus the Alliance, and what you can do to maybe take another look at what you've been doing over the course of the last 3 years.
Great. So that was a lot. I'm going to go back and rewatch it myself. I just want to say one thing that did come to mind when you're talking about the police. I have friends that are police, and I have great respect for law enforcement in general, but I just want to touch on, you know, the academy they go through, the training that they get, the badge or the certificate that they get is actually a peace officer. It's training to become a peace officer. And I think that's, as you were saying a moment ago, that's where we want to be. Unfortunately, I think that maybe a lot of these police, and there's so many different types, and I know back in the county I'm from, the police is actually in the local county, it's a corporation. And so just want to say that our police are trained as peace officers first and foremost, but then sometimes I think they find themselves in a difficult situation because they're carrying out the orders of whatever, maybe their mayor or whoever is commanding that corporation, the police. And so their training was originally in a peace setting.
They went in for the right reasons, just like everyone enters the Death Star for the right reasons. They think they can effectuate change, but they're technically stormtroopers. They're being forced, and they're not in control.
And some of the things you're saying is, you know, as you're saying, the original Republic still exists. You know, we're going to talk, I think you're going to talk more about capturing the flag and those things in the segments upcoming. But we want to get the police. We do have a need for the police, but operating as the peace officers under the original Republic, which exists, but it's just been abandoned. And we're going to, as we go on here, we're going to talk more through that.
They're just working for the wrong master.
Great. Okay. End of segment 2.
All right.